8:45 and we're slowly but steadily get our freedom back. Today it's Helen's
first day in town.
First day in town. I'm going to accompany her until we get to the top of Barichara, and then I'm going to wait for her in the park, because only one person per party is allowed, and it goes with the end number of the passport or the cedula. This is the hill we have to climb. We're going a little towards the right of that tower there. Barichara is on the other side. Now the scramble begins. It's quite steep here. It's super hot today and there's hardly a breeze. It's way over 30. And it's not easy to come down later on, but thank God when we go up we have nothing, or almost nothing in our backpacks. It's quite a hike. We'll be sweating buckets by the time we get to the top. Quite a hike up here. We're almost up. You can see Vinny too down there in the middle. It's a bit hazy today because it's so hot. We're actually expecting a thunderstorm, but so far most of the time it bypasses us. And apparently the water reservoir is getting low. We only have a bit to go, it's not much. And then we're on the top, and then we can have a look down to Barichara.
7 years ago.
We're there. We're up to the highest point. Helen just said she's getting too old to do all this, but never mind. It has to be done.
Yeah, it's tiring.
Helen's off into town now. I'll be waiting in the park here for her. There's a nice gazebo down there to do some yoga if you wanted to. I just thought Helen's taking a little long and the thunder is coming, so I went towards her. I think she can hardly stand anymore. How was it?
You came about 10 steps towards me.
10.
Come down there.
I was about to. I was thinking I better go down to the...
It's too hot.
Give me the backpack, I take it.
No, it's too heavy. We
Yeah.
have to put some in there.
Yeah, let's do it down here.
Okay. No.
We're getting too old for this. Didn't you have a drink before you were... I told you to take the drink with you.
I thought I'd buy one in town.
And did you?
Well, yeah, but they're 3 litre bottles, and I thought, no, I won't bother opening them.
You gotta be careful, because you're exhausted. Town is really quite a bit of up and down with the heavy bags. It drains your strengths, and then you have to be careful coming down this way here.
Also, some slices of Gouda cheese at Costa Rica. I nearly bought it, and then I thought, no, I've got to meet up on this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you did anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. This is our new Russian bubble and squeak. It's a Russian recipe. Plate goes on top. Let's see. Oop, zip, zip, zip.
Oh.
Wow.
sieht schon mal perfekt aus.
Yeah, and now it goes back in. Zip, hopefully. Oh, yep. Right, we managed, and now there's some chopped up bits of cheese. Of course, I did all the preparation, as usual. Cabbage, potatoes,
I
onions.
found the recipe online.
You found the recipe, yes.
Yeah.
That's about it.
From Olga. Olga Slavinskaya. Olga something Slavinskaya.
Uh-huh. So, you can hear Phoenix.
Phoenix, it's okay.
We're only cooking.
So, now another 10 to 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Ich hab Hunger. I'm really hungry.
Okay. And this is our evening meal.
Looks good, doesn't it? I'm going to put it on my plate.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks really, really good.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Let's see if it's...
You've got a fork there. So. Concentration to make sure it's cut in half.
Das sieht fantastisch aus. You want more cheese or less cheese?
Doesn't matter.
That's probably the different way to do this one. Look, it looks perfect on the inside. Wow.
Happy?
I'll try it, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
And cheese.
So. Hot, hot, hot.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And?
Delicious.
Is this?
It's really, really good. No, no, Mama. Have to do that again. I'm so easy. So easy.
Cabbage omelette.
This is very, very good, and it's so easy. Look at this. Doesn't it look perfect? Yum. It's cabbage, potatoes, eggs, a little bit of flour, pepper and salt.
Cheese on the top.
And cheese on the top.
Not bad.
And it's done in 30 minutes. It's so easy to do.
15 minutes each side.
Really yummy. So, we're getting somewhere with the beds now. Bit of a border. Everything has to be leveled out. There's Phoenix and Sasha. They just woke up from their snooze. Now it's scratching time. Kitchen turned into a work shed now. Huh? Phoenix, are you looking for some scraps? Always in the swing of things, huh?
So pretty on this table. Phoenix, go on the table.
Is life boring today, Sasha? Yeah. Wagging your tail?
Like a clock.
Yeah. You doing the cutie thing? Yes, you are. Today is the 3rd of May, and these are this is cabbage and cauliflower. They're getting really big, the plants now. The zucchinis and cucumbers are turning into a jungle. It's amazing how fast things are growing. And behind that I've got lots of tomatoes and peppers. And there's onions and leeks still in there, but they're going a lot slower. My pineapple, let me show you, they're actually already showing roots. There you go, which is really nice. There we go. They're coming out on the side, so you've got to take some leaves off before you put them in water. We're getting really good at these things. We're just waiting for the beds to be finished so we can actually replant everything. What else do I have here? Oh, this is my lettuce. Only 3 of them actually survived, but they're getting bigger too now. The leeks and onions, they're not doing too well. They're kind of getting somewhere, but not very fast. This is my parsley in the middle there. And then I really have to watch for weeds because we used a lot of compost and there's always weeds coming out of the compost, and I don't want the weeds to take over and use all the water. I hope you guys are not going to go into my plants and will not be amused.
The Colombian chachalaca is endemic to the forests and woodlands in the inter-Andean valleys in Colombia. It's actively involved in the distribution of seeds from the fruits that it ingests. Whilst we're enjoying our freedom and the peaceful nature around us, the rest of the world still struggles with the virus.
Spain's Prime Minister's predicted a recession on an extraordinary scale as he answers questions in Parliament on the phased lifting of restrictions. The country has more than 210,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases. The outbreak in the United States has now killed more Americans than the Vietnam War. Over 58,000 people have lost their lives. The total number of cases in the US has now passed 1 million. China has announced its annual meeting of Parliament will begin on the 22nd of May, 2 months later than originally planned, a sign Beijing leaders believe the outbreak's under control. And the actor Irrfan Khan has died at the age of 53. He was best known for his international roles in Slumdog Millionaire and Jurassic World.
The pandemic has driven the US economy into its most severe contraction for more than a decade. It shrank nearly 5% in the first quarter, the first 3 months of 2020. But the lockdown only came in towards the end of that quarter, so the head of the US Central Bank has warned there'll be much more economic pain in the figures for April through June. The death toll from coronavirus in the UK has now passed 26,000. For the first time, the official figures count all deaths linked to the virus, including care homes and the wider community. The pandemic claimed nearly 4,000 more lives than were being recorded previously. The White House health advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, has expressed optimism about an experimental antiviral drug. He said trial data shows remdesivir had a clear-cut and positive effect in reducing recovery time. It's still unclear whether it actually saves lives.
President Trump says China will be held accountable for the pandemic as soon as US intelligence reports confirm what went wrong. Agencies have concluded that the COVID-19 virus was not man-made. They're still examining if its spread was due to a possible accident at a Chinese laboratory. Britain's Prime Minister says the UK has passed the peak of the outbreak. Speaking at his first briefing since recovering from COVID-19, Boris Johnson warned it was too soon to lift the lockdown. He said he would set out a comprehensive plan next week for eventually easing restrictions. And the Eurozone's economy shrank at its fastest pace on record in the first quarter. GDP contracted 3.8% from January to March. That's even worse than during the financial crisis. Separate data showed a steep fall in economic activity in France and Spain. The North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, has appeared in public for the first time in nearly 3 weeks, ending an absence that prompted rumours about his health. The country's official news agency said he'd opened a fertiliser plant. There was no mention of where Mr. Kim had been. The United States government has authorised the emergency use of an experimental antiviral drug, remdesivir, as a treatment for coronavirus. The Food and Drug Administration said it was reasonable to believe that the benefits of the treatment outweighed the risks for patients hospitalised with severe COVID-19. In the UK, the opposition has raised questions about the government's claim that it has reached its target of achieving 100,000 coronavirus tests a day by the end of April. Labour says the figure includes 39,000 tests that were posted to people's homes.
More US states have started lifting their lockdowns, but there's been no let-up in new coronavirus cases. The US now has more than 1.1 million recorded cases of the virus and around 65,000 people have died. American investor Warren Buffett has sold all of his shares in the airline industry, saying it will struggle to bounce back from the pandemic. The billionaire's investment company owned around 10% of each of the top 4 US carriers. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he was so sick with COVID-19 that contingency plans were made in case he died. He spent 3 nights in intensive care. For the first time in 7 weeks, Spaniards are allowed to leave their homes to exercise. They're limited to an hour a day and there are special time slots for different age groups. From Monday, anyone using public transport there will have to wear a face mask.
Donald Trump has said he hopes the presidential election in November turns into a referendum on his response to the coronavirus pandemic because he believes he's done a great job. In a televised town hall event, the president denied claims that he had failed to act quickly enough. The BBC has seen the first draft of the UK government's response to a strategy to reopen workplaces. It indicates that businesses won't be required to maintain 2-metre distancing between employees. Where social distancing is not possible, it says additional measures should be considered, including the use of protective equipment. And a group of worldwide celebrities has signed an open letter to the Brazilian president, warning that the effect of the virus pandemic on the country's indigenous people could amount to a genocide unless swift action is taken.
Virgin Atlantic is to cut 3,000 jobs in the UK. The airline says it won't restart operations at Gatwick, London's second airport, which have been suspended because of the global coronavirus pandemic. India has reported its biggest daily jump in coronavirus cases and deaths. There were more than 4,000 new infections, with the worst affected areas in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Some experts in the United States are concerned that the number of people dying from coronavirus may double by the beginning of June. New projections showing a steady rise in the infections and deaths are based on data collected by various US agencies. And the UK is beginning a trial of virus contact tracing through a mobile phone app in the hope of eventually easing the country's lockdown.
Stay tuned for more videos.